Behold the Christian Admiral, the last remaining vestige of a fantastic scheme by turn-of-the-century industrialists. Their dream was to change Cape May, New Jersey, an old slumbering seaside town, into a bustling resort for the very wealthy. It was to be a summer retreat on the scale of Newport, Rhode Island, with large summer mansions surrounding their centerpiece, a grand hotel. But the dream was not to be. It would drive them, and all who would hear its siren call after them, into ruin. The first to see the vision was wealthy Philadelphian J. Pemberton Newbold. In 1901, he purchased the tract of land east of Old Cape May for $100,000. He called his venture New Cape May. The local newspaper, the Cape May Ocean Wave, reported that an immense hotel of 300 rooms would be constructed at the far end of the tract on Sewell's Point, and that lots were being graded and sold. 1 year later, a new group of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh businessmen, the East Cape May Improvement Company, bought out Newbold and expanded his concept to a $3 million vision for the area. Their plans included reclaiming 5,400 acres from marshlands, developing 7,500 building lots, and creating a major industrial seaport. The project's most active figures were two men from Pittsburgh, William Flynn and Peter Shields. Flynn had accumulated his wealth manufacturing gas and steam fittings and was a member of the Pennsylvania State Senate. Shields was a successful real estate entrepreneur and would become the major player in the building of the hotel. Early in 1903, they formed the Cape May Real Estate Company. The group purchased some 4,000 acres, they graded and paved streets, sold lots, and promised a great hotel for East Cape May. The development of East Cape May did require a great deal of vision. At the time, the area consisted of a sandy strand fronting marshlands filled with hungry insects. Peter Shields, then president of the East Cape May Real Estate Company, had the vision. He attended city council meetings and succeeded in convincing the city fathers to share in the major cost of extending Beach Avenue to Sewell's Point, along with the necessary bulkheads and boardwalks, and of providing sewer and water service for the project. He hired the best architects and builders to construct what was to be the most modern hotel in the world. He introduced investors from Mellon Bank, Standard Oil Company, and Carnegie Steel to his project. He brought potential investors to Cape May in a specially leased private railroad car. Shields' company began dredging operations for a deep harbor, using the dredged sand as fill for the marshlands. He built stone jetties to protect the entrance to the harbor. Crucial to the plan was a grand hotel to be the main attraction during the early years of the project. The hotel was to draw not only summer guests, but prospective land purchasers as well. Originally, Shields' company planned a design for their hotel in the Southern Colonial or Georgian style, such as this Charleston hotel, but on a much larger scale. However, noted architect Frederick Osterling of Pittsburgh and the company finally agreed on the French Renaissance design that was so popular with the Beaux-Arts architects of the time. Its projected cost was to be $500,000, but that estimate, as with most projects even today, would double to $1 million. In September of 1905, the company held a groundbreaking ceremony for their great hotel and began laying the foundations. They originally named the building the Hotel New Cape May and later renamed it the Hotel Cape May. The building of the hotel itself would be fraught with problems. From the outset, construction fell behind schedule. A major structural collapse of the first floor and labor strikes pushed the construction schedule even further behind and the cost even higher. As the expected time of completion approached, the brick and iron workers had only reached the third floor. Automobile races conducted regularly on the beach in front of the construction site, featuring such noted drivers as Henry Ford and Louis Chevrolet, probably interrupted the young men toiling with their bricks and mortar, while directly in front of them thousands cheered on the exciting races. During construction, the hotel did attract new home builders. In 1906, a Philadelphia dentist, Dr. Starr, built the first house on the reclaimed land next to the hotel. A year later, Peter Shields hired Lloyd Titus to design an imposing Greek Revival cottage for his lot, just west of the project on Beach Drive. The hotel finally opened, 2 years behind schedule, in the spring of 1908. During the opening ceremony, New Jersey Governor George F. Fort presented the Hotel Cape May Cup to the winner of an automobile race from Philadelphia to the hotel. The race was the featured event in the hotel dedication and demonstrated the accessibility of Cape May by automobile.
This is the grandest hotel in Cape May, costing millions of dollars. It is very warm here today. Miss Nettie Ewing, July 13th, 1908.
The hotel remained open during that first summer and closed on October 1, ostensibly for improvements. Sadly, the opening did not signal the beginning of an era of prosperity as hoped, but marked the beginning of severe financial difficulties for the Cape May Real Estate Company. Dredging operations ceased with the hotel's closing. Peter Shields resigned, and the company stood on the verge of bankruptcy. It seemed as if all was lost for good. Nelson Z. Graves was a relatively minor player in the project until February of 1911, when he secured controlling interest in both the company and the hotel. Graves, a successful businessman, ruled the company single-handedly. He built 2 amusement centers, one the Fun Factory at Sewell's Point, and the other a casino at Madison and Beach, both ends of the East Cape May project. He agreed to pave streets for a trolley extension to Sewell's Point, and to keep the hotel open for at least 3 months a year for 10 years in exchange for real estate tax relief from the city of Cape May. The hotel was busy. Lots were selling. People were building cottages around the hotel. Graves hired Peter Shields' architect Lloyd Titus to design a Spanish or Southwestern style home for his lot on New Jersey Avenue. For the time being, the project looked successful. Then the Great Depression struck in 1913. Capital throughout the country dried up and real estate sales stopped. The Nelson Z. Graves empire fell into the hands of court-appointed receivers. The Cape May Real Estate Company failed, and in August of 1915, the local papers announced that the remaining property owned by the company had been sold, including 475 lots, 24 cottages, the Sewell's Point Fun Factory, and the company office building. The sum of the sales brought in a paltry total of $75,000. East Cape May stayed relatively quiet until World War I. Then in 1917, the Navy Department purchased the eastern third of the East Cape May tract and quickly erected a base with the mission of defending the Delaware Bay shipping lanes.
Sunday. Dear Grandma, am at liberty in Cape May this afternoon. Well and quite sunburned. Don't have much time to write. Remember me to everybody. Franklin, October 7th, 1917.
The government converted the hotel into Hospital Number 11 for seriously wounded soldiers. It seems ironically appropriate that the hospital was number 11, as the hotel's history was and would be continually involved with the number under Chapter 11, the Bankruptcy Protection Law. After the war, the building reopened under receivership as the Hotel Cape May. In 1931, the Admiral Hotel Company purchased the building for $128,519.88 from the receiver Frank Schroth. They opened in June of that year as the Admiral Hotel. The Admiral Hotel Company went slowly broke, and in 1940 the city of Cape May purchased the hotel at sheriff's sale for $900. During World War II, the U.S. Navy leased the building for an officers' retreat. Many locals remember the hotel during the war as the place to go. The officers' club in the hotel was the hot spot in town. However, the memories include the fact that the hotel itself seemed somewhat run down. After the war, the Navy returned the building to Cape May city officials. In the early 50s, the Pennsylvania Company for Banking purchased the tax liens on the property, then sold the hotel to the Maysfield Corporation for $142,000. The March storm of 1962 severely damaged the hotel, and the Maysfield Corporation joined the long red line of the hotel's bankruptcies. The First Pennsylvania Banking and Trust Corporation purchased the hotel at sheriff's sale for $66,400.84 and formulated plans for demolishing the hotel and subdividing the site. Dr. Carl McIntyre, fundamentalist minister, radio evangelist, and head of Christian Beacon Press of Collingswood, New Jersey, rescued the hotel from the wrecking ball when he purchased the property from the bank for $300,000. McIntyre renamed it the Christian Admiral Hotel and ran it as the headquarters for his Bible conference. A grand dedication ceremony on May 30th, 1963, heralded the Christian Admiral as the Reformation Center of the 20th century. In the late 60s, Christian Beacon Press modified the building. They added a sky view dining room on the roof, enclosing the open roof garden. They built a 2,000-seat auditorium onto the side of the hotel. They opened the hotel's first-floor restaurant as the Corinthian Room, after the Apostle Paul's letters to the Corinthians. Although an elegant restaurant, the Corinthian Room operated without serving liquor, the policy of the Christian Beacon Press. In addition to the Christian Admiral Hotel, the Christian Beacon Press had impressive real estate holdings in East Cape May, including these two buildings on Trenton Avenue behind Peter Shields' house, and the Star Villa Hotel facing the ocean on Beach Drive next to Peter Shields' house, which Dr. McIntyre named Heritage House, Pilgrim Place, and Liberty Lodge. He actually moved all of these buildings up Beach Drive from their original locations in Old Cape May to these lots near the Christian Admiral. He literally saved them from demolition during the urban renewal frenzy that struck Cape May in the 60s. He purchased two of the finest Old Cape May hotels on the ocean, the Congress Hall Hotel and right next door the Windsor Hotel, which was designed by noted Philadelphia architect Stephen D. Button. Both hotels were built in 1879. Dr. McIntyre built Shelton College, a complete campus with laboratories, a greenhouse, library, auditorium, and multi-purpose classrooms. All of the Christian Beacon Press properties were dedicated to the teachings of the religious right. Guest speakers at the Bible conferences espoused government conspiracy theories, anti-communism and anti-Castroism, all combined with fundamentalist Christian ideals. The speakers were some of the best in their field: congressmen, military officers, ministers, and authors. Shelton College students, of which there were over 200, marched on Washington in support of the Vietnam War. They demonstrated against Russian trawlers fishing offshore from Cape May. McIntyre opened a winter campus in Cape Canaveral, Florida. All seemed successful and secure. It looked as if the 50-year-old Hotel Cape May had finally found a profitable use. Through the 70s, the Christian Beacon Press battled the city of Cape May over tax exemption status for Shelton College, but never prevailed. The McIntyre holdings began to crumble. The Windsor Hotel died a fiery death. After the fire, its oceanfront property values soared. The land was sold, and this condominium replaced that grand old hotel. Except for Congress Hall, all of the buildings that McIntyre had once saved stood empty, in danger of demolition, and came up for sale. The Trenton Avenue properties were sold and converted into a bed and breakfast complex named Angel of the Sea. The Morning Star Villa was sold and recycled into this charming condominium overlooking the ocean. Shelton College stood empty and forlorn. And the Christian Admiral? In 1984, its roof began leaking and water seeped through the walls. The estimate for restoring the roof, matching the terracotta tiles and copper cornices, came to a prohibitive $1,250,000. New fire regulations required the installation of expensive sprinkler systems and other fire safety devices, all at the cost of general maintenance. The organization slipped slowly into decline during the 80s and filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in 1990. Resolution Trust Corporation assumed control, and the Grand Old Hotel was under receivership for the last time. Cornices and tiles began to fall from the roof, causing Cape May construction officials to shut the building down as a threat to public safety. From 1991 through 93, fire and construction code officials issued numerous violation notices to Christian Beacon Press, declaring the building a danger to the general public, firefighters, and anyone going near it. New rumors flew around Cape May almost daily concerning the latest wealthy investors that had arrived to save the hotel in its 11th hour. One group proposed to convert it into a retirement home for senior citizens. Another proposed to restore it as a luxury hotel. Condominiums were considered, but nothing ever came of the rumors, real or imagined. Some claimed that renovating the Admiral would cost tens of millions of dollars. The hotel's chances for survival were diminishing. Finally, in 1993, Christian Beacon Press applied for a permit to demolish the structure. Lengthy public hearings before the Historic Preservation Commission and the Planning Board began. The issue bitterly divided the city. Then in February 1994, the Planning Board voted 5-4 to grant a demolition permit for the structure, overturning the Historic Preservation Commission's position against demolition. By that time, the organization owed the small city of Cape May over $403,000 in back taxes and utility payments. With the permit on the table, a group of private investors, Congress Hall Partners, purchased the Christian Beacon Press properties as part of a $5 million deal to help bring the organization out of bankruptcy. The agreement sealed the final fate of the Hotel Cape May. When the demolition crews arrived at the site, they found an incredibly solid building, one they always spoke of with the kind of deep respect usually reserved for one's peers among master tradesmen and craftsmen. The builders had overbuilt its foundation and set its pilings so deeply into the bedrock that the original plaster throughout was smooth and uncracked. They built the walls of solid brick instead of brick reinforced with steel framing, as was thought. They knew that steel and salt air don't mix too well, and that the steel would deteriorate in Cape May's ocean damp air. The builders of the Hotel Cape May left us a landmark that they had built to last for centuries. The fact that it is gone in less than 90 years is the result of flaws in us and our present systems, not the result of flaws in that magnificent structure, nor in that of its equally magnificent builders. Would that we all shared the kind of quiet strength, integrity, and dignity so visible in this building. So the great hotel is gone from this world, with nothing like it apt to be built again in our time. The Congress Hall partners have subdivided its land and earmarked the building lots for luxury oceanfront homes. They have promised a share of the profits from the lot sales will go toward the renovation of the historic Congress Hall Hotel. The sacrifice of one historic building to save another adds nobility to the Admiral's passing. But we will miss its massive familiar shape on our town's skyline. Its absence leaves an awful and very large void in us all.